What a glorifying evening on December 16th, 1773. Today we'll be reenacting the Boston Tea Party with this week's edition, TBT. Your contestants will be yours truly, Travis Ryan and Jack Novotny.
On the eve of December 16th, 1773, an angered group of protesting colonists invaded 3 ships docked in Boston Harbor, with the motive of casting 342 chests of British tea overboard into the harbor. Among these angered protesters was well-known Samuel Adams and the Sons of Liberty, dressed as Mohawk Indians, boarded the ships. When the news reached England, the British shut down the Boston Harbor until those 340 chests of tea were paid for. The British placed yet another act onto the colonies after this event. It is known as the Boston Port Act of 1774. The Boston Tea Party was one of many events that led up to the Declaration of Independence and war. There were a few major battles in the war, the first being Lexington and Concord. These were important because they showed the Americans were willing to fight for their rights. Next, at Valley Forge, because it marked one of the low points for the Continental Army. Perhaps one of the most decisive battles of the war was Saratoga, because it marked the surrender of an entire British army and the entry of the French into the war. Then the final battle was at Yorktown. That ended the war and caused the Treaty of Paris in 1783.
Taxation without representation!
We are the Mohawk Indians!
Faster, guys! Rid us of the tea!
Now, welcome to the interview section of the show today. Today we're going to be interviewing a member from the British Parliament. So, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty great.
Is there anything you have to get off your chest?
Yes, actually very much. Maybe these naive colonists that they're talking about all these acts, maybe they don't understand that wars cost money. Lots of money. And we're protecting them from the West French and Indians. It drives our government into debt, and we call the colonists to pick up some of the slack. And what do we get in return? We receive ungodly protest and boycotts of British products. It is an unreasonable order for them to pay taxes. As a slogan, no taxation without representation, they're a colony working for the enhancement of the mother country.
Well, that concludes interview number 1. On to interview number 2.
Nope, we are not done here. I still want to talk about these foolish colonists who think they can come and protest our...
Security. And now, for interview number 2, we brought a loyalist to explain to us about the colonies during the Revolution. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Can you explain to us your feelings on the colonies and why they should remain loyal to your mother country?
I feel we should remain loyal to Britain. For years, they've been taking care of us militarily and socially.
So, what's the benefit of you staying with Great Britain?
Why would I, a wealthy colonist who's made all my money based on trade with them, if I leave and go with these violent rebels, I'm not going to make money with Great Britain. I'm going to have to find somebody new to trade with.
That must make you angry.
Oh, it makes me furious. I can't believe it. They dare blame the British government for their problems?
It's just them.
Yeah, awful.
So, the big question that I'm asking you is, how do you feel about no taxation without representation?
I feel that while there is some bit of truth, we do get represented in the government. Our governors can go and speak in front of Parliament or elect somebody to. Our ideas get shown to them and they do what they feel is right.
Alright. So, for our next interview, we're going to go interview a slave to get his opinion on the revolution. So, why is rebelling against your colonial masters a benefit to you?
Why? Because Britain is guaranteed my freedom if I fight with them against the colonists. My plan is, when my master goes to war, I will kill my captors and see where the war takes me. I've talked with my fellow friends that live in the houses next to me to follow along with the idea that once we win the war, we will be guaranteed our freedom. I would also rebel against the U.S. colonies is because they have done nothing for me except treat me like crap.
Yeah, that must make you angry.
They give me only enough food to keep myself alive. The only thing I am wondering is, what happens if we don't win the war? What happens to me? What happens to us, the slaves?
Okay, so for our last interview, the slave told us there's a patriot down on the water fishing. Let's see if we can get a couple words from him. Excuse me, sir. Would you mind telling me why you think Britain has been unfair to you?
Well, these foolish British are stupid for staying loyal to their country, Great Britain. How on earth can they stand for such tyranny? They dare impose taxes upon us without even a hint of input. It won't be long before they run out of things to tax. They have already put taxes on everything from tea to sugar. We have expressed our frustrations, beginning with the boycott of English imports, then the destruction in Boston Harbor. And what do we do in return? They simply mow us down in the streets like a bunch of animals. What more can we do to prevent such a breach of our rights? They soon are going to leave us no choice but to declare war.
So now for this section of the show, we're going to play the game.
Are you smarter than Ellen?
What is the difference between the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution?
Well, the Articles of Confederation didn't want the Bill of Rights. The states could coin their own money. The government couldn't tax, and they wanted a weak central government.
The U.S. Constitution wanted the Bill of Rights. The government could tax. States cannot coin money. Amendments needed a 3/4 vote and was a 2-house.
Why was the Bill of Rights added to the Constitution?
Well, it was added to not only get the Anti-Federalists to ratify the Constitution, but it was to protect the rights of citizens, and it was added on December 15th, 1791.
How many amendments are in the Bill of Rights, and what rights do they guarantee?
There were 8 amendments, and they could guarantee the rights of the citizens/people in the nation.
Try again.
I got it. There's 10 amendments, and the 9 states you can't write another amendment to cancel out one already stated. Number 10 states that the power not given to the government goes to the states and citizens.
Why did the Articles of Confederation not work?
Although there were several flaws in the Articles, a couple of the main ones were too much power was given to the states, making the unity of the new nation. The states were given the right to coin money. This was ineffective because the new nation was under a great debt.
Why did the Anti-Federalists have reservations about the Constitution?
Well, the Anti-Federalists wanted a weaker central government, and they wanted the Bill of Rights because it protected the people's rights, and they wanted the executive branch to have less power dedicated to one.
What were some differing beliefs between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists?
Well, the Anti-Federalists wanted a smaller government, more power granted to the states, Bill of Rights are essential to the nation, fix the Articles of Confederation.
While the Federalists wanted a strong central government, limited the power to the states, and they thought that the Bill of Rights weren't necessary. They didn't think the Articles of Confederation even worked.
In what way did the early government of America contradict themselves?
Well, they contradicted themselves because after the colonies broke away from Britain because of all the taxation they placed on them, there were taxes placed on the citizens. So they protested in the Whiskey Rebellion in 1794 with a group of farmers in Pennsylvania protesting against Hamilton because they didn't like the taxes on the whiskey.
What were the Federalist Papers and who wrote them?
The Federalist Papers were written by Federalists Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay. They were a series of essays written to get the citizens to ratify the Constitution.
What political party was George Washington?
Well, George Washington pledged allegiance to no political party. During his tenure as president, he enacted both Federalist and Anti-Federalist plans and ideas. George Washington tended to lean more towards the Federalist ideas, but thought it was never a good idea to get yourself trapped into one way of thinking, whether it be in politics or foreign.
How did the Federalists get so many of their ideas into the government with so little actual support?
Like everything else in the world, today money has great.
And now, for the next partner show, we're going to go to a friendly game of Heads Up. featuring Sam and Travis.
He was a Federalist and the second President of the U.S.
I got this. John Adams.
Leader of the Continental Army, first President.
That's my boy George Washington.
Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Federalist.
John Jay.
He was an inventor and important political
Benjamin Franklin.
You're right.
Hey, he was the third President of the United States, anti-federalist, and he was the main writer of Declaration of Independence.
Thomas Jefferson.
You got it. Alright. He was the fourth President of the United States. He was a Federalist. And he also wrote some of the Bill of Rights.
James Madison.
Yes. Alright. This guy, he was the governor of Massachusetts. He signed the Declaration of Independence. And you gotta know it.
Samuel Adams.
Yes. Oh, this guy was the leader of Great Britain at the time.
Man, I hate this guy. My not-so-pal, King George III.
Thanks for watching this special edition of Ellen DeGeneres Show Revolution Style.